What's up, everybody? It's Alex Winking Michael, and GameStop is a disaster. It Here's what we're going to talk about a little bit today. We're going to talk about GameStop through the week. I saw a couple videos on this, but not very many. I kind of wanted to wait to see what would happen. Obviously, GameStop had an earnings call, their Q4 2018 earnings, and it was a disaster. It was terrible. Obviously, people set into panic mode. Things are looking very grim for GameStop. They've had a horrible last 6 to 9 months. You've heard all this stuff, I'm sure. I made a video on it. A few others have made a video about it. But is this the time to panic for GameStop? Is this really the beginning of the end? Well, let's try to answer that question. Let's talk about it a little bit. Got a few articles I want to share with you today, and we'll break this down a little bit. I'm interested to kind of go through this. Let's get into our first article from one of my favorite websites, themotleyfool.com. And the headline is not very encouraging. GameStop continues to fall apart. The video game retailer reported rough holiday results and provided abysmal guidance. This stock has obviously continued to fall. They tried to sell. They couldn't sell. But there's a couple of encouraging signs. But let's jump into the article. Video game retailer GameStop reported its fourth quarter results, and after the market closed on Tuesday, it wasn't pretty. While comparable sales edged up during the quarter thanks to a calendar shift and the timing of Call of Duty, total sales from continuing operations plunged 7.6% year over year. On top of the sales decline, asset impairment charges and other one-time items totaling $334.5 million led to a gigantic net loss. Excluding those charges, adjusted net income per share declined by 17% to $1.45 a share. This, in layman's terms, is very bad. Anybody could probably assess that from just the verbiage and reading it, but this is about as bad as you can do, especially when you dominate a brick-and-mortar sector and have very little to no competition. As a matter of fact, there is really no commercial competition at all. Mostly it's mom and pops, especially when it comes to brick-and-mortar stores that offer video games at physical copies. So there's a lot of things to attribute this type of failure to, but the main one has to be digital sales. Digital platforms continue to grow, digital storefronts continue to grow, and that's really what this comes down to. There's also some other things as well, but I'll get into those in a minute. Article goes on to say almost nothing went right. Sales in most GameStop segments declined. New hardware sales were down 9.8%. Software sales dropped 7.8%. And the highly profitable pre-owned segment, and this is their cash cow. As we all know, when we go to trade a game in and we get $5 for it and they turn around and sell it for $40, that suffered 21.3% in sales decline. Both accessories and collectibles, though, this is their bright spot from ThinkGeek when they purchased it, were up double-digit percentages, but neither category is as profitable as the cash cow used game business. And that's absolutely correct. The used game business is by far the most profitable, and it continued to be the most profitable for years. I believe this is their largest posted loss since 2012, maybe 2005 even. This is terrible. But obviously, everybody's focused on the decline in used game business. The segment carried a gross margin of 42.4%. That is nasty, a gross margin in the fourth quarter. That even includes all their deals, like buy two, get one free. Obviously, if you've been at a GameStop, you've noticed that they do all kinds of deals, offer all kinds of discounts, but still down. And what's even more discouraging about their business being down is the fact that we're in a massive economy growth spurt. I mean, the economy is rocking, 10-year high. I mean, and they're still just dropping sales. So that obviously means that the market is shifting to something else. People aren't stopping buying games. They're just buying them from somewhere else, probably digitally, is what makes the most sense. We'll jump into the next article, and this is an opinion piece on Seeking Alpha. And basically it says GameStop should not trade above $10. Now, I brought this article up because there's a couple things I wanted to highlight in it. It says hardware, software, and pre-owned combined account for almost 3/4 of their sales. They continue to struggle while margins head further down. I believe the GME shareholder are much more likely to be disappointed than pleased holding the stock. Here's something I wanted to highlight in this article. What surprises me the most about GameStop, against all odds, has nearly recouped all lost ground and currently trades near the pre-earnings levels of $10 a share. I find it hard to justify the bullishness observed in the past several trading hours other than shorts covering their pre-earnings positions. Basically, what they're saying here is that even though they reported all these abysmal things, GameStop continues to perform. And there's a pretty diverse argument in the investing community, from what I've seen, of people actually saying, hey, this isn't a panic mode. GameStop has proven to be very shareholder friendly, and they've also proven to be able to bounce back from, facing adversity. But let's take a quick look at the stock, and then I'll kind of give you my opinion on what I think of GameStop and what its outlook and prognosis is. So GameStop is currently $9.86 a share. The earnings call that they had, they divulged that information on Tuesday night. I waited a couple days. I wanted to see what happened. Obviously, what I expected was a lot of people panicked, but and maybe rightfully so. I mean, nothing here looks good. This is a year-to-date graph, and as you can see, after January 28th, they lose about 33%, and we just basically have a continued downward trend to where it's fallen to $9.86 a share. It will be interesting to see what it opens on Monday and how it trades throughout the rest of the week, but we'll kind of have to go from there. So, what does all this mean, and what do I think? I think that it's inevitable that GameStop is going to eventually have to restructure their business from brick and mortar. I think anybody with a pulse can see that. May not be this year. They may be able to survive into the next-gen consoles, but what it looks like, the next-gen consoles are not going to be disc-based anymore. They're going to be download. So that's not going to help them. They don't make any money off selling consoles. Very slim margins on console sales. But I think that if they expand more into the ThinkGeek and more of a wide variety of just merchandise, they're going to have to diversify their portfolio beyond physical copies of video games. They've done a good job with this in the past, and they're going to have to kind of rebrand themselves and more than likely close multiple stores in multiple locations, which just sucks because obviously that affects people working there. It's hard to say what their prognosis is going to be. I find it interesting that shareholders are kind of holding on to this thing. I don't think that this is something that you hang on to. This is a sinking ship. It may be sinking slowly, but it's still sinking. Now, it may have a spurt of life left into it. Maybe they surprise us somehow. I don't know, but I would be shifting my considerable resources if I were GameStop into a digital storefront, much like Steam, much like Epic Game Store. I think that's where your future lies. I think that you find a way to be aggressive in getting publishers on board with this. I think that you create a very user-friendly space, unlike what Epic has done, and they focused more on exclusivity as opposed to creating user-friendly features like, friends lists and all the stuff, the multitude of things that everybody has seen. I think that that's where GameStop should really focus its resources right now. They also have another major problem that I've touched on in another video. Culture. Their culture is terrible. Obviously, anybody who's walked into their game store, there's a few people that you like, but for the most part, it seems like a very toxic culture. If you engage with any of their employees and even get somewhat friendly with them, none of them really like the culture of GameStop. They love working in the video game store, but none of the employees like working for GameStop in particular. They hate pushing stuff. They hate selling stuff. I think most of them are genuinely good people who understand that it's a part of the job, but there's something wrong with the way GameStop is delivering the message to their employees. I don't know what it is. I used to work at EB Games. I'm a homer. I loved EB Games. I was in that time when EB Games and GameStop were at war, and it was awesome. We loved working for EB Games. Now, I was out before GameStop, purchased EB Games and took them over. But it was a really cool place to work, and it was really awesome engaging with people. But I will say that, whatever GameStop is doing to push their message to their employees, there's something wrong with it. The leadership is toxic, and it definitely trickles down to the employees, and you can see that. And I don't really know where that starts, if it's at a district manager level, if it's at a store manager level, but employees that I've engaged with are genuinely unhappy. They're unhappy with a lot of things. So that's something that GameStop's really going to have to work on in the brick and mortar sense. But I'm interested to know what you think. Let me know what you guys think. Is GameStop done? Are they finally finished? Can we pull the plug? Are we talking about a year, maybe 2, or do we have 5, maybe 10? Do you think that they can rebrand, rebuild, and come back? I'm interested to know. Let me know in the comments below. I want to say thank you all so much for the support, the likes, the subscribers, all of that stuff. You guys mean the world to me, and I really, really appreciate all that you've done for me. But that's it for today. I will see you guys on the next one.